Kalyani ma'am, please start.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I, on behalf of Women Members Empowerment Committee of ICIR, welcome you all in the Sky High Symposium Series 40. Sky High Symposium is a Wednesday series of program conducted by the Committee for the Women and by the Women. It is one of the Women Members Empowerment Committee initiatives to not only disseminate information to women members on technical updation and non-technical skills, but also to empower and inspire women members to come at forefront and realize their verbal skills at a public forum. Today, we are going to cover session on different types of audit report and work-life balance. For our first session, we have CA Padmashri Cresto ma'am. I'm handing over to CA Suchita Kulkarni for the introduction of our first speaker.
Thank you, CA Kalyani Kapure. I am here to introduce our first speaker, CA Padmashri Cresto ma'am. So good evening, ladies, and it's a great pleasure for me to introduce our first speaker of the day, CA Padmashri Cresto, who is going to enlighten us on the topic, different types of audit reports. This is a very important topic for we women chartered accountants, as the audit report gives auditors' opinion on the financial health of the company to various end users. The speaker has done Bachelor of Commerce from Mumbai University, Bachelor of Law, and is a chartered accountant at ICAI. She has also done her diploma in system audit. She is a partner with Audit and Assurance Practice in MSKB and Associates LLP, working extensively in the field of audit and assurance for over 17 years across industry verticals of insurance, financial services, and manufacturing. She is in charge of keeping the audit team well informed of the latest technical developments in various statutes and regulations and preparation of certain publications for internal as well as external use. She is also handling quality assurance function in audit and assurance services, as well as responsible to coordinate and conduct the regulatory reviews. She imparts training program on technical quality, methodology, audit tool, and other matters of professional interest. She has done various contributions in the WIRC publication and also published e-handbook on the topic, role of chartered accountancy firms to ensure compliance with Securities and Exchange Board of India, prohibition of insider trading regulations 2015. Our today's speaker is a member of SA, Standards on Auditing, in AS Committee of WIRC, a past member of Corporate and Allied Laws Committee of WIRC, and presently a technical reviewer of ICAI Awards for Excellence in Financial Reporting. So, all the listeners of today's session, please welcome CA Padmashri Cresto ma'am on dais, and I hand over the session to her to take over. Ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kalyani ji, and thank you, Sanchita. Thanks for the warm welcome. I think this is my second time in the Sky High Symposium, and I'm so glad that I'm here. Hello, everyone. So the topic that we are actually going to touch upon today is different types of auditors report. So you may be one of the, I think, intrigue questions that we will have is, how can there be different types of audit reports? I think we always thought that there is one audit report. Okay, so I'll just browse through and share some insights on what we mean by different types of audit reports, because in our day-to-day life, we actually sometimes do not understand that we are issuing different types of audit reports and what are the nitty-gritties that are going into there. I'm just stopping the video streaming for better bandwidth. Can you please confirm that you can see the presentation and hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am. Presentation and voice is very clear, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So let us look. Let us look at the let us look at some of the things as we go along. What are the different types of audit reports that we think of? So first, before starting anything else, let us understand two things. There is a framework, which is a financial reporting framework, which we call, which can be Ind AS, AS, non-corporate entities, again, the standards that are applicable there. Any other regulatory framework like RBI, IRDA, Electricity Act, Municipal Act, whatever. So it can be applicable laws and regulations, or it can be applicable financial reporting framework that we talk about. When we talk about financial reporting framework, it is largely about the accounting standards that are applicable. So it can be accounting standard, it can be Ind AS, it can be ISA, it can be IFRS, or it can be US GAAP. So any kind of general accounting, generally followed accounting practices, GAAP, right? Now we come to GAS. GAS is generally accepted auditing standards. India has a GAS which is almost in line with ISA, which is International Standards of Auditing. So we have standards of auditing. Let us understand the basic concepts, because I'm going here is the confusion that starts, which I see many a times, that we are actually doing something but then writing something else. One, as per ICAI regulation, we all know that a test function can be performed by chartered accountants in India. So we can give audit report based on statutory audit of any company, tax audit, that's the second type. Then some group audit, which is required for the purpose of consolidation, that is third type. Special purpose report for the purpose of certain consolidations or on certain things, that is fourth type. Then fifth one is maybe we want to at times issue report on a specific element of a financial statement or combined financial statement, that is the next type. Okay. And then we also issue report on SEB as per Regulation 33, Regulation 52 of SEBI, LODR. That is the sixth type. Okay. We also issue branch audit report. We also issue some other reports. Okay. So basically, at least 6 to 7, I can easily identify different types of audit report. Now, what is generally accepted auditing principles, and what is GAS? What is GAP and what is GAS, and what can be the combination? As we said, in India, we can issue report under IGAP or Ind AS and do audit under SA, because that is what required under the standards. That is what required under the Companies Act, right? 139 and 143(10). Okay. So that is general purpose financial statement. Let us first distinguish between what is general purpose financial statement and what is special purpose financial statement. Number one, what is general purpose financial statement? Financial statement that is required under a statute, which is widely prepared, presented in accordance with the applicable framework, and which is made available to everyone or largely to the public at large. Even if it is a private limited company, it will be a general purpose financial statements because it will be published on MCA website, right? What is special purpose financial reporting? Special purpose financial reporting is intended users are limited, the scope is limited, purpose is limited, and there can be a restriction on use. We will talk about it again very much in detail. There is a confusion. Okay. Whether being an Indian chartered accountant, can I do audit as per international standards of auditing? No one stops you from doing it. You can issue a report under international standards of auditing being in a CA firm. Okay. So you can have a combination of IGAP plus SA, Ind AS plus SA, IFRS plus SA. Okay. And you can also have a combination of IFRS plus ISA, US GAAP plus ISA, and if you have certain registrations and things like that, you can have US GAAP plus US GAS also as a combination. So whatever a CA firm is doing, you have to generate UDI, and whatever is the GAAP GAS that you are doing. Okay. So now when we are talking about ISA or US GAAP or any other companies, any other countries' GAS, What is the requirement? The requirement is we have to understand the gas appropriately and we have to apply it in the appropriate manner. So there are auditing procedures that are defined under SAS. There are auditing procedures that are defined under ISAs. So when we compare both, there is barely any difference. Now ISA 315 has undergone a change. There are some revisions even in SAS. US gas is slightly different. So if you want to issue a report under US gas, you have to comply with US gas. Now, how is it different? When we issue a report as per a gas and when we mention, we should be specifically complying with gas and we should not be writing it unless we comply with that gas. We cannot say that, okay, I know US gas and I can easily actually make it a compliance and it is very easy for me to do. No, we need to understand the complete nitty-gritties and we need to comply. Unless we are complying, we are not supposed to write. That is there in the framework of SA, ISA as well as the US gas. Okay. Now, first, let us understand in the general purpose financial statement, what is it that we are going to look at. So, when we talk about SA 700, SA 700 deals with general purpose financial statement. SA 700 does not deal with special purpose financial statement. Now, this is the first and foremost distinction, and this is very, very important to understand. But this is assumed that everyone understands, but then there are some understanding gaps, which I'll, basically touch upon. What are the elements of SA 700? Basically, if you look at ISA 700, SA 700 is also similar and ISA 700 is also similar in all respects. So when we look at SA 700, it talks about the form and format of the report and it says what all has to be contained in SA 700 report. So let's have a look at the flow of the report, SA 700 report. Okay, there is always a title. There is an addressee. When we are talking about 700, we are talking about general purpose financial statement. That means stat audit report, basically. Okay, it will be a title. There will be an addressee. There will be an opinion. Addressee will be like the shareholders of the company. Opinion, first will be the opinion. Then there will be a basis of opinion. Then we are talking about clean report right now. That means unmodified report first. Then if at all there is an emphasis of matter, it will be an emphasis of matter. There will be an emphasis of matter. If there is a material uncertainty that is existing, then there will be a material uncertainty para. If it is a listed company, it will be as per SA 701, there will be key audit matters. Then there will be a set of information other than the financial statements and auditors report thereon, which is actually other information, which is SA 720. Then management responsibility para, okay, that is mandatory. Auditor's responsibility, which comes as an annexure. Then there is another matter paragraph as per SA 706. Then we come to, this is India specific. Now till here, everything is similar to ISA. Okay, this is India specific. This can be different in some other country. Report on other legal and regulatory matter. So as per section 143.3, you are supposed to report on certain matters. We'll have a glance at it. We are not going into the details as to how to report, what to report, but a run through of these things. So we will look at report on other legal and regulatory matters, which actually is coming from Companies Act. Now what happens? If you are doing a CAG audit, how does this change? You will have 143.5 reporting. Other than 143.3 plus 143.5 reporting, you will have one more level of reporting. So you will have additional reporting there, 143.5, which has to go to the CAG. That and in case of insurance, you will add 2 more requirements here because that is the requirement of Insurance Act. In banking, you will add 4 more requirements here because that is the requirement of banking regulation. So till the other matter paragraph, everything is same. Below that, when we start with the reporting on the legal and regulatory matter, that is where your report actually differs from the ISA, that is from the other country's report. That is how it is structured. And then country specific again, there will be a signature, there will be a UDIN, there will be a place and date. Signature can be, as you know, it can be digital signature or physical signature as the case may be. So that's the flow of the audit report. Let's touch upon few of the things which are very, very important here. So we are talking about forming of an opinion. So you can give an unmodified opinion or a modified opinion. When you are giving an unmodified opinion, that means you have concluded that you have sufficient appropriate audit evidence to conclude on in all material respects and financial statements are true and fair in all material respects, and you are concluding that everything is fine and I am closing the audit. However, if you have any non-compliance with accounting standard or with any procedure that you are not able to perform, if you do not have sufficient appropriate audit evidence or whatever case, then you will issue a modified opinion. What is a modified opinion? So in this flow, when we go, it will be an addressee opinion basis of qualified opinion. Here it will be qualified opinion and this will be basis of qualified opinion, and the rest of the thing flows as is. Okay. And when the sufficiency and appropriateness of audit evidence is far more grave and it is more pervasive, then you may end up issuing a disclaimer of opinion or a basis of disclaimer or a adverse opinion. So when it is disclaimer of opinion, instead of opinion, it will start with disclaimer of opinion. Now, how does the language of the opinion start? In the opinion and qualified opinion, we will have the language as we have conducted the audit. However, in case of disclaimer of opinion, because you're not giving an opinion, disclaimer of opinion is nil opinion. So you are going to say that we have been appointed to conduct an audit. Basically, you have not been able to conduct the complete audit. And in case of adverse opinion, it is completely reverse. Your language starts there, but then you are disclaiming, you are actually giving a reverse report on the entire basis of opinion. One very important thing to understand here, when we look at each of the things, we will again look at few of the things, the connection between each of these elements. What is the connection between each of these elements? We will just understand this in a few minutes. Okay, that's about SA 700-705, where we are actually looking at this thing. Limitation to scope. What is limitation to scope? So what we call in general general purpose financial statement is also something that we say full scope audit. What is full scope audit? It is like free hands. You can do any area, do whatever you want and conclude on the audit. So that is full scope audit. So you don't have any scope limitation. If at all there is a scope limitation, that automatically either will amount into a qualification or a disclaimer of opinion. If the client appoints you, for example, the client has appointed you as auditor of a company, but he tells you, don't ask me any question about fixed asset. If the fixed asset is a smaller amount, if it is not pervasive, if the controls are appropriate, then maybe you will end up qualifying. If the fixed asset is so large that is out of the financial statement, which is say 500 CR, and then out of the 350 CR is your capital WIP and fixed asset, then you will end up giving a disclaimer or an adverse opinion as the case may be. Right? So you need to check how pervasive the matter is when you are actually looking into the scope limitation as well. First, you have to request the management. If the management gives audit evidence, very good. If they don't give, then you have to take your steps. You have to determine the possible effect of undetected misstatement and then look at the pervasiveness, and then maybe you have to give a disclaimer of opinion. So the why this thing is only picked up by me and put it here in this slide is the purpose is when your scope actually gets limited due to whatever intentional, unintentional circumstances, you may end up giving a qualified or a disclaimer of opinion. So you are doing a full scope audit. There should not be any restriction to you. Now we come to SA 706. So 706 has two pieces. One is emphasis of matter and one is other matter. 706, emphasis of matter, is never a substitute to a qualified opinion. So this has been, as you know, there are lots of regulators sitting out there, QRB, FRRB, NFRA, everyone is reviewing the financial statements. And a common thing that is coming there is that do not use EOM instead of qualification. Where you have to qualify, please qualify. where you don't, where it warrants only a position of EOM, then only an EOM can be given. So aim is largely to bring the attention of the users of the financial statements to read something specifically. And below the EOM para, you always write that our opinion is not modified to this effect. So what is modified audit opinion? Modified audit opinion is only qualified opinion, disclaimer of opinion, and adverse opinion. These are modified opinion. And clean opinion with the EOM para is not a modified opinion. So that needs to be very clearly understood. So sometimes people end up doing this, that, okay, somewhere I have written in the audit report. So client doesn't want a qualified opinion. Let me write it as an EOM, so I am safe. No, you are not safe. When it has to be a qualification, it has to be a qualification. And EOM is actually something that is already presented by the management, but you want it to be read properly by the user of the financial statement. And it is not a substitute to a qualification. So it has to be EOM only when it is EOM. Other meta paragraph is much more simpler. It's something that is related to audit or audit procedures. For example, during pandemic, you are not able to conduct physical verification, but you did an alternate procedure. If you are not able to conduct a physical verification, however, you could not verify anything in the inventory, it is a qualification. And if it is pervasive, it will be a disclaimer maybe. However, you are saying that I could not do physical verification. However, I have done alternate procedures, roll back, roll forward, and verification and all that. Then that becomes other matter paragraph. Now, these are different types of audit opinion. This is not a different type of audit report. This is all under general purpose financial statement. And why I spent 5-10 minutes, because you all are aware of all these things. Why I spent all 5-10 minutes over here is that these are different opinions within the main gamut of audit report. Okay. Now, this combination now SA 700, 705, 706 is the basis for all types of audit report. Why I'm saying that? Because whether it be a tax audit report, whether it be a special purpose report, qualification, quantification, EOM, modification, everything is driven by the principles of 700, 705, 706. So it is very necessary to look into the form and content of 700, 705, 706 when you want to issue any kind of report. This even applies to tax audit report. Okay, and even applies to SEBI LODR report. So wherever you go, these principles will apply. It is very necessary to understand what is 700 say, what is this flow, why is this relevant, and what are these paras, how to write, what is to be written, and then when it is modified, when it is unmodified, and what is an EOM and what is not an EOM, and what is another matter. This is very relevant because these things actually are the guiding principles, and these things are even relevant in AUP report, in certificates. Everywhere this is very much relevant. Now 701, these are only key audit matters, but this is a reporting. So again, key audit matter is never a substitute to an EOM and never a substitute to a qualification. Actually, it is not a form of opinion or something, but then I specifically included this. It is very specifically written in 701 that this is not an opinion. And when you give a CAM para within the audit report, you don't give an opinion on one area. You have to restrict yourself from giving an opinion on one area. Say, for example, you are giving a CAM on merger and acquisition. So you are giving a CAM on merger and acquisition. That doesn't mean that you are opining only merger and acquisition is the appropriate thing, but everything else is wrong or everything else is right. But it is necessary that everything else is also driven by the audit report. And key audit matter is never a substitute to your qualification or an EOM or even another matter. Other matter doesn't come into picture at all when we talk about key audit matters. Other information. What is the other information that is contained in the report? This is as per SA 720. So you have to look at, if the annual report is being issued, you have to look at some things. What are those? Maybe the management discussion and analysis, the director's report. Any inconsistencies between that and the financial statements will have to be culled out, will have to be reported if material and if it is not properly explained. That is very necessary. Now, in the audit report format, when we look at the illustrative of SS 700, if you look at it has that auditor's responsibility para, and we'll come to auditor's responsibility para also, and we will come to this EU. So when we talk about SS 720, if you go to SS 720, there are different types of reporting that are given there. So what is essential for us? Why am I talking about that? It is like sometimes what happens is in a hurry, or when we want to benchmark ourselves with someone, we may end up picking up a report from the public domain, and maybe we are comparing or replicating it. Why is reading the standard necessary? Because standard gives you various options. What is it? 720, number one question, whether the company publishes an annual report. Yes, no. Whether there are other things that are published along with the financial statements. If answer is yes, then you are actually supposed to go ahead and then check the consistency between that report and this report, and then you have to proceed step by step. It gives you an option to say, in case of listed companies, you have to do this. So let us talk about listed company first. In case of listed companies, you have to read the other information. If there is inconsistency, you have to report, you have to raise it to the shareholder. Okay. In case of private limited company, it gives you two options. You have read, you have not read. You have read, found inconsistency, please report. You have not read, make a statement that I have not read. Third option, it has not been made available to me. So what happens is, when we copy something from the public domain, that's a listed company, for example. So we are saying I have read. But then, idealistically, in a small private limited company, you should have opted for it has never provided to me. That option is available. But many of us don't know. That is the implication of not reading the standards. So that is why it is necessary. It gives you 4 to 5 options. You have to choose the right option. So please do not copy paste here. And that is very important that you understand and then report accordingly. So reporting on other matter is also very important, because this is something that is looked at by the regulators. Now, reporting under legal and regulatory. So as we said, 143.3. 143.3 tells us that we have to report under these matters. Now, I'm not going into the details of the matters, but I will try to, fix up the nexus between what I said earlier. So, different reporting is required. I've sought and obtained all information. Proper books of account has been maintained. Branch reports have been seen. Companies' balance sheet report are in agreement with the accounting standards. Everything complies with the accounting standard. There is no adverse effect. Director is not disqualified. Qualification, everything has been properly looked into. Then adequate internal financial control. Then we have this rule 11, pending litigation, material foreseeable losses, IEPF, and also 2 more requirements, 11, any money lent, any money borrowed, and things like that. Now, all these are coming out of our companies. When opinion is clean, when we go back to this slide, when opinion here is clean, actually, then these are positive statements that everything is fine. Okay. When opinion becomes qualified opinion, these statements will have to undergo change, because your main opinion, that is true and fair view of the financial statements, it will have a reflection on each of these things that we are talking about. So if there is a non-compliance of accounting standard, it will go for proper books of account, maybe it will go to the compliance with accounting standard. We will have to write, except for the matters in the basis of qualified opinion, it is not in compliance with, it is in compliance with accounting standard. So you know that, and then also books of account, because accounting standard affects the books of account. Then each of the matters that you are actually qualifying, when you're qualifying something, the report format completely changes, because everything down below actually undergoes a change. You have to keep the qualification, and you have to read each and every line item to see whether it has an impact here in clause number 1, clause number 2, clause number 3. For example, you said that, okay, I didn't get information with respect to, say, inventory. Okay. And you have qualified that. Now, you cannot say I have sought and got all the information. You haven't got that information. If quantity records are not properly prepared by the company, you're qualifying for that. You can't say proper books of account have been maintained by the company. Okay. Some payments have not been properly recorded and you're qualifying the purchases for that. You can't say everything is properly prepared and things like that. So these are the implications that you will have to understand when you are making a qualified or a disclaimer of opinion. Next important thing is the observation or comment, clause F. Observation of comment of the auditors of the financial transactions or matters which have any adverse effect on the functioning of the company. What all can have adverse effect on the functioning of the company? If you are giving a material uncertainty para, okay, in the audit report, it is definitely going to have adverse impact on the company. If you extend the argument, you will have to evaluate this. If a director is disqualified from the last 3 years, there may be an adverse impact on the functioning of the company. If there is material non-compliance of accounting standard, there can be an adverse impact on the company. So you have to actually match everything and see whether you are reporting appropriately or not, and whether you are making the right statements or not. This is very, very important. And this is where lots of mistakes are found. Even though you have the things, everything available, but then there are lots of mistakes that are actually practically found here. Then any qualification, reservation, or adverse remark relating to maintenance or other matters, here you will have to bring out whatever is your qualification as well, if at all it has any this thing. IFC, very important thing. Many a times we have a qualification in the IFC, or we qualify something for IFC. Now, IFC report in the guidance note, it gives you option. I qualify IFC. However, I have done other substantive procedures and true and fair is not affected. So I am giving a normal report. So that may be the case in many of the places. However, we have to interlink the qualification in the IFC to the main report and the main report qualification to the IFC. For example, if you have a main report qualification which says that purchases amounting to, say, 20 crores is not accounted for appropriately, it is in effect an internal control failure also if unrecorded processes are pending there and it is not recorded. Reverse of it, if there is a process flaw in the purchases, it may have an impact on the true and fair view. So all these are interconnected. We need to sit and think whether my audit report is flowing in the correct direction, backwards to the front and front to back. Both ways we have to match. Okay, it is very, very necessary to do this matching. Sit with a cool mind and do this matching. I know we are so much in a hurry to file our audit reports, but these are the things that we should not go wrong, because this is the final deliverable that goes to the client and to the regulators, and there should not be any mistakes here. So this is the linkage that I was talking about. Pending litigations, on the impact of the pending litigations on the company. Again, reverse look at the contingent liability schedule also. Okay, then if you have material foreseeable losses, this may amount to going concern. Okay, and then IEPF, this may have a legal and regulatory reporting. Now, one of the things that is very important is that there are two schools of thought that exist. One is 143.3 asks me to report under up to J as now KL and things like that. However, and nothing else I have to report. Second school of thought says that if Companies Act non-compliance or any other law under which the company is governed has a major non-compliance of laws and regulation, then I can report. So my new section of 360 in the Code of Ethics, which has come into effect, that is NOCLAR, which is applicable to public interest entities, actually talks about non-compliance with laws and regulation. And it says that you will have to inform the management, you will have to inform the TCWG. If the TCWG and management are aware, you look at the steps and things like that. And then if necessary, you can qualify the audit report. So we have to bring up that chain as well. So then another qualification may land here, or another qualification. So it is not, reverse is also not necessary at times. Something that may come under as a qualification here may not have an impact on a true and fair view. Okay, so these are some things that have to be evaluated very carefully, and we have to sit and study and then make a assessment of each of these things. That is what it is, that is what it calls for, which is very necessary. So this is the connection between all this. We can't miss the most important element, which is the CARO. Now you know the latest amendments in CARO and what it calls for. So there are some clauses which are again interconnected. 185, 186, if you have major non-compliance, it may have a true and fair view implication. You should consider qualifying your main report. Statutory delays, if there are too many statutory delays, maybe one of your non-compliances may prop up there. Another thing, CARO also asks you for going concern. Now, if you have already have a going concern para, and then you don't report it in the CARO, that's a problem. If you have too many regulatory reporting under the other regulatory information of Schedule 3 and non-compliances like Benami transaction, undisclosed income, definitely that is that will make your main report a qualified or a disclaimer of opinion. So this nexus from front to back and back to front, that is the report. We have a report, we have auditor's responsibility and extra, we have a CARO, we have an IFC, and we have the legal and regulatory matter. All these 5 things have to be checked and ensured that they all tie back. Auditor's responsibility para, some people give it in annexure, some people give it within the report. Auditor's responsibility para, if it is disclaimer of opinion, if it is adverse of opinion, language changes. So it is necessary to look at the standard there again. So standard should be the master, which you will have. Illustration from the standard should be the master. And from there, various permutation combinations can flow. So every time you are issuing a new report, maybe a disclaimer or qualified opinion or adverse opinion, I think my advice is that you should always look at the standard ones and the illustration ones. That's what I do. And we have to be compliant at all these times with all these things. If CARO is qualified for a clause, do a check whether main report, legal and regulatory, IFC, anything needs to be, qualified or reported there. So that cross check and nexus building is very, very necessary. This is all about GAAP, but the principles of generally accepted principles, that is the general purpose framework financial statements, applies to all other types of audit report. Then the next audit report is consolidated audit report. What do we do in consolidation? We take the reports of other components. If we are auditing, then we will take the impact. If others are auditing, we'll take the audit report, and then we consolidate. How do I decide? If someone has qualified, how do I decide? If someone has a different gap, what do I do? If someone has a different gas, what do I do? Number one, if gap is different, then you have to actually get a memo on the gap differences and how they are adjusted in your financial statements, because 2 different gaps cannot be consolidated. You have to bring it on one footing and then you have to actually consolidate. Second, if they are auditing on a different gas and we are auditing on a different gas, it is necessary to take from the component auditor that the differences are immaterial or the differences have been covered as per the essay that you are actually complying in India. That is necessary. Third thing, component, which is a subsidiary, associate or JV, whoever, has made a qualification. How do I address? You will have to take into consideration whether that is material to the financial statements of the group as a whole. You have to evaluate, and then you will have to take a call whether it is necessary to be reported in the consolidated financial statements, whether it is affecting the consolidated financial statements. If yes, it will appear as a qualification or as the case may be. If no, then this will get diluted. So for us, we have to document how did we deal with it. The word is deal with it. How does the parent auditor dealt with the modification or qualification of the audit report of the component? That's the question, right? How did you deal with it? It's not that how did you replicate it. So we have to understand and we have to deal with it, and we will have to accordingly close it. Now this is SA 600 as we know. SA 600 gives us a leeway, wherein in the other meta paragraph we can say, after following all the procedures, due procedures, we can add there that we have not audited the financial statements of so and so, and this much is the percentage that we have not covered, right? And someone else has audited. So there are three options there also. I have audited, someone else has audited, no one has audited, I've taken a management information. In case of listed company, you have to cover 80%. That is not me, but then if I am the parent auditor, but someone has to review or audit at least 80 up to 80%, that's necessary. Now, many of the firms have a risk mitigation criteria, which says that if for example, I have to issue a group audit report, what do I have to look into? I can't say that I have not done more than 50%, but I'm still doing a consolidation. So that's the risk mitigation factor. I have to do more than 50% so that I can issue a consolidated report. Now that is few firms' policies, different firms have different policies. Also, if you have Indian subsidiaries, you will have to look at CARO. And if there are adverse remarks in the CARO, it is necessary that in the parent company CARO report, you have to make a remark that what all are the CARO reports actually getting qualified for. That is again another obligation. Similarly, if your component is in India, look at the IFC report also and look at the IFC report implication on the group audit report as well. And you can take a call as to how pervasive it is and what is it at the group level and accordingly consolidate. Now we come to SA 800. Having understood the principles of audit report, we come to 800. So what is 800? 800 is special considerations or special purpose framework is what we call. We talked about general purpose framework. So if the financial statement that you sign is available to everyone, that is general purpose financial statement. So you do the start audit, the same set of financial statement goes to bank, the same set of financial statement goes to income tax, GST, everywhere. So that is general purpose financial statements. Now we are coming to special purpose financial statement. What is special purpose financial statement? It's actually, it may be a full set of financial statements or it may not be a full set of financial statements. Both can be possible. Okay. It does not override the requirement of SA. That means all the requirements of SAs. If you're doing a special purpose audit, if you're doing the area of bank, you still have to take a confirmation. If you're doing inventory, you still have to do that physical verification. It doesn't exempt you from anything. Only it gives you certain privileges. We'll go to that. Okay. It may not deal with all the special consideration relevant in the circumstances of the engagement. What are the special purpose framework and what are the considerations? FRF is financial reporting framework, which can be Ind AS, AS, IFRS, whatever, which is needed to meet the financial information needs of the specific users. These can be with respect to compliance framework or with respect to fair presentation framework. So financial statements here can be true and fair or in compliance with a group audit policy, in compliance with certain policies that are written. So you have to choose one of them. So special purpose FRF based on general purpose FRF but not complying with all requirements cannot be described as general purpose financial statement. What does this mean? It means that you make a special purpose financial statement, you don't have complete detail, and then you cannot term it as this is a special purpose along with a general purpose. So that's not possible. You have to be very specific about things. The notes are not elaborate. Maybe all the regulatory and other Schedule 3 disclosures may not be there. Select disclosures may only be there. So that is why it means not a comprehensive full set of financial statements. Applicable framework actually determines the content of FS and what constitutes a complete set of FS. Let me take an example. We are doing a statutory audit till 31st of March. For the purpose of evaluating certain things, valuation or for selling of a unit or something, the client comes up with a requirement which says that 31st December, till 31st December, you do the audit and give me the report. Then I cannot give my report under SA 700. I will have to give the report under SA 800. And it is addressed only to the board and not to the shareholders because it is for a specific purpose. And it is not a general purpose and it cannot go into everyone's hands. It has to have a specific purpose and it has to have like what we are going to cover in that. So if he wants the financial statements to have very, typical notes and not the elaborate ones and things like that, he wants only certain portion of it, and we can make it that way. But the financial statements are still to be the full financial statements. So the purpose for which this FS is prepared has to be very clear. Who are the intended users has to be very clear. What are the steps taken by the management to determine that the applicable framework is acceptable? That means if you're giving it to a bank, giving it to the valuer, he has to actually discuss and say that, okay, I'm making it as per Ind AS. Is that okay? And things like that. You will have to put an effort. The management has to put an effort to ensure that it is acceptable. Determine whether application of essays requires special considerations in circumstance of engagement. So there may be tweaks that may be required to the essay, but to the procedures, some alternate procedures may be undertaken. But that doesn't mean that you are actually exempt from from any of the essay. How do you form an opinion in that case? Apply essay 700. That's the underlying principle. Whenever you are actually doing the, reporting under essay 800, form and content, form and format will be actually largely guided by essay 700 because that's the underlying standard. Second important thing, after the opinion, you will actually start defining what is the basis of opinion. When you say the basis of opinion, things like that, after that, you have to very clearly bring out what is the purpose for which FS are prepared and the intended users. So that you will give as a part of note in the financial statement, and then you will say refer this note, and this is prepared for this purpose, and for this is the intended user. That you will have to identify very correctly. If management has a choice of FRFs in the preparation of FS, then explanation of management as to which FRF they have taken is very necessary. Okay? Then evaluate whether FS adequately describe the FRF applied, means which is the FRF that is applied, whether it is Ind AS, AS, what they have used, whether they have used, interim standards, that is AS 25, they have made compliance with it. So recognition measurement principle they can use, and then presentation principles they can use differently. What is the exemption that they have taken and things like that? That has to come out very clearly. Then we have to include a EOM para regarding application of, this is a special purpose framework, and this is not a general purpose framework. So there will be a standard EOM which you will have to always include if it is a special purpose framework. And last but not the least, which is very, very, very important, is that there has to be a restriction on use. What is restriction on use? You have to say this financial statement is prepared. This set of financial statement is prepared for the purpose of this, and it is on the request of this. And this is not actually suitable for anyone else, even if it falls into someone's hands. We are not responsible, or we do not assume any responsibility. That has to come out very clearly, which is not possible in case of general purpose financial statement. So many a times what happens is people think they are making a special purpose financial statement, but they end up making general purpose because they forget the restriction on use. Two most important paras is basis of preparation and restriction on use. These are the heart of the special purpose financial statement. Everything else may be similar. At times, the financial statement may also be a full set of financial statement for some purposes, But if you have these two para, that can save you, because this is how limitation of liability and courts will also work. Because if something goes wrong, and if you have written that there is a restriction on use, I did not intend to be used by everyone, then you can still actually fall back on that para. So it is very important to actually put a restriction on use para. Then we go to the next type, which is SA 805. So this is in the 100 to 700 series, as you know. This is to be adopted as necessary in audit of other historical financial information. So it can be for audit of single financial statements, specific element, account item of FS. What happens sometimes, banks tell us that I want only the stocks to be audited. So maybe then this is the case where we will use this SFS, specific element financial statement, and we will give a report under this. So there is one question that I always ask when my team or when anyone comes to me, is that they will say that, okay, this is my report framework, this is my report format. Is that okay? Is the general question that is asked. So my question will be reverse. What is it that you want to do? Who are your intended users? What is the purpose of this? And what is the restriction on use? That is the general question that is asked. So my question will be reverse. What is it that you want to do? Who are your intended users? What is the What is the restriction? Are you giving it to everyone or you're not giving it to anyone? And the most important question, which is the standard under which you are issuing the report? Always ask this question. Which is the standard under which you are issuing this report? There can be no report which can be issued under like no standard. So there can be no report which is not governed by any standard. It will fit into something or the other, or you will have to fit into something or the other because you are bound by SS. If it is not at all an SC, and that means it is a clear case that it is not an audit, then you will have to go to SRE, you will have to go to SAE and things like that. So it is, it has to be governed by some standard, and it can't be a orphan report on its own. So you will always find that what is the standard that is applicable. Please read the scope and you will be able to determine. This does not apply to report of component auditor because that will be a full scope audit. This is not a full scope audit. 700, 800 can be full scope audit. 805 is not a full scope audit many a times. This does not override requirement of other races. If you want to do an audit of inventory, you have to follow those procedures that are there in 505. It doesn't override. Okay. Deal with special considerations that may be relevant in circumstances of the engagement. So what are the considerations we need to have? You have to adopt all essays that are necessary in the audit of SS. Careful consideration of relevant essay. What do I mean by that? So as I gave the example, if it is essay 505 inventory, you have to look at confirmation, you have to look at if you're doing that area or the relevant essay as the case may be. If you're auditing the, SFS, single financial statement, in conjunction with full financial statement, audit evidence obtained as part of full financial statement will be useful. So you're issuing two reports. One is, so say for example, let me take an example. A company has A, B, C, D, 4 division. You're doing full financial statement audit anyways. Okay. But then the company also wants you to give a separate assigned financial for unit C because that the company wants to dispose of a sale or, do something. So you are doing a full audit and then you will be doing this. So whatever you obtain for full audit may be useful for here also. And that planning can be made use of for sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Some items from complete FS may be interrelated with the elemented FS, Then the procedures will have to be accordingly drawn. Materiality of this financial statements will be obviously lesser than the full financial statements. You can't say I will apply the same materiality here because you are doing only a component here. So you will have to check more. So if at the entity level, if for 1, 2, 3, 4 units, if you are taking a materiality of say 2 crores and you are checking only 45 samples, here your materiality may be 50 lakhs and you will have to check more. That is something that you will have to take care of. And it obviously affects the nature, timing, and extent. Now, how do I form a report under 805? Again, apply SA 700. That's the principle. Okay. Then, if you are also doing full FS, then separate opinion on full FS and separate opinion on SFS elements or single financial statement. That's necessary. Then, if audited SFS published with entities audited full FS, then presentation of SFS should be clearly differentiated. So full set of financial statements, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 together, that has to be a complete set. And if only 3 is being presented, and that has to be separately culled out, differentiated. This is a separate only 1 unit financial statement. It has to come with that. Do not issue audit report on SFS until we are satisfied with the differentiation. It should not be overlapping and it should not give a other meaning. So we should not be issuing the audit opinion unless we are actually appropriate. Now, what happens is there is a modified opinion or an EOM or a disclaimer or an adverse on the full FS. Say, for example, for 31st of March 2022, you completed the full financial statement audit and then you issued an opinion on, say, 25th of May. Now, company wants you to audit one of its units and then issue a separate financial statements on later, means in the month of June, July. If that your main audit report or the full audit report is already class A qualified, you need to actually look at what is the impact on the separate set of financial statements or single financial statements or element financial statement, and accordingly modify your report as the case may be. If necessary, you may have to, if, for example, in the full financial statement, if inventory is the item that is qualified, which is actually a huge element, and then in this unit that you are doing, if inventory is the main thing, then you may end up issuing a disclaimer or an adverse opinion, as the case may be, for the specific element. So this is the funda of 805 in short. What are other type of audit reports? SEBI audit report. Under regulation 33, under regulation 52. 33 is equity listed, 52 is debt listed. So at the year end, so quarterly, you will issue a LR report, which is a limited review report under SRE 2410, 2400, as the case may be, right? But at the year end, when you issue audited financial statement, that is audited results, then you will have to issue a one-pager report, is the usage term that is used. One-pager report of the audit report, which is again is a summary report of the entire thing. No, CAMP doesn't come into it, and there are few other disclosures that doesn't come into it. There is a one-pager report that is again issued. So there is a format that is already there in the SEBI LODR, and then there are some paras that will be added to it to make it more, compliant with SA. Again, this is a general purpose financial statement here, because we are talking about year-end and audited financial statement. So there will be a one-pager report, and then there will be a complete set of report here. So that is very necessary to understand. Then what is the other type of report? You have tax audit report, form 3C and 3CD, 3CB and 3CD. 3CD is only a statement of particulars under various clauses, reporting under fact. So 3CD is reporting under factual clauses, right? 3CA or 3CB is the opinion. So as the case may be, in obviously, when we look at true and correct versus true and fair view, particulars in form 3CD are true and correct because it's factual reporting. Reporting of auditor in form 3CB is actually true and fair view. And in 3CA, financial statements plus the other one. Now there is another thing to it. When your year end is, say, for example, under the Companies Act, you have the company is a subsidiary of a foreign company, and then you have applied for a 31st December as the year end, and then you issue a tax audit report under the 3CA. In that case, then you have two parts. One part is true and fair of the financial statements, true and correct of the 3CD, right? There are practices which exist, which actually gives a report on the financial statements. Apart from 3CA, there's a detailed report in SA 700 in SA 800 format, not 700, sorry, because this is a special purpose report. This is not a general purpose report, because this is only submitted to tax department and nowhere else. And then there will be SA 700 report and 800 report, and that will be actually published along with the provided to the income tax department along with the 3CA 3CD that is attached in the other attachments. That's a practice that is followed by many companies, many company auditors. Okay, then after looking at all these permutation combination, we have some more types of report which can be branch audit report, which the HO actually gives you a format specific report. In those cases, you will have to put out restriction on para if it is not there already. Group audit reports to other countries where they may have certain formats and they want you to report in certain things. And then there can be report for specific purposes, for the purposes of merger, acquisition, and things like that. So I think largely that is the content that I want to cover. What are the points to drive away home is essentially, number one, there can be no report which is not governed by any standard. Always ask, what is the standard under which I am reporting? Which is the standard under which I am reporting? You will get an answer. You will have to again and again and again read the scope of these reporting standards, and then you will come to a conclusion as to which is the standard under which I am issuing a report. That's the first question that you need to ask. Always have the standards handy. Always look at the interconnections between various reportings that happen within a report, and then if there is some other report that is being issued. For example, as per guidance note on certificate, if you have issued a report during the same year, then you will have to actually replicate if you have a modification or something which affects this certificate. So if you're giving a net worth certificate and if the balance sheet is already qualified, that is audit report is already qualified, you can't give a clean net worth certificate. You have to say that I have audited the financials of this balance sheet and I have modified, and the impact of this on the net worth is so and so, or it is not known. So these are the basic things that we have to follow always. Always anything we as chartered accountants, when we issue, it has to have UDIN. We also know that now the CAG empanelment and MEF empanelment, the CAG empanelment also asks for details of UDIN. There are so many changes that has happened. So all these things are very necessary to be kept in mind. We have to have our eyes and ears always open as auditors. I think that's all the content that I have. Open for any questions? Any questions?
I have one question. In Caro reporting, there are some companies are exempt, in which small companies and private limited companies are there. So it is quite difficult to interpret whether small companies are also private limited companies. So Caro reporting is applicable to them also if the turnover criteria or net profit criteria does not fulfill.
So, you have to actually interpret it in the light of the specific definition. If it falls into the exemption criteria, if it falls into the small company criteria, then you are exempt.
Okay.
And if you have exempt, so when you are exempt in the main audit report, please make a statement that annexure so-and-so is not provided as the company is a small company. So one thing we miss out there is that, Caro is not applicable. We don't write why it is not applicable. Yeah, you need to write that IFC is not applicable as it does not meet the turnover criteria. Caro is not applicable as it is a small company. We need to make that. So one, regulator also comes to know. Second, we will also forget later. After 3 years, we will start searching, why I didn't give a Caro here.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. So, dear committee members, colleagues, and my dear friends, on behalf of Women Members Empowerment Committee, I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks to our speaker, CA Padma Shri Krasto ma'am, for enlightening such a topic. The presentation is self-explanatory and really knowledgeable. I propose heartfelt thanks to our participants for their active participation. Now we are about to start. Yeah, thank you. Now we are about to start our session for a second topic. So I'm handing over the session to CA Varshini Venkatesh.
Yes, ma'am. So very good evening to all of you. And it's a great pleasure to introduce CA Nitya Ramesh ma'am. And the topic for today is also about work-life balance, which is very much required for all of us. And she's here to talk about that. And a small intro about CA Nitya Ramesh ma'am. She is a practicing chartered accountant and a fellow member of ICAI. She's the proprietrix of a chartered accountant firm, and she's a certified expert in concurrent audit of banks. She's a diploma holder in information and systems audit, that is DISA, as well as she's an IBBI registered valuer of financial assets or securities. She is highly skilled and meticulous with exceptional attention in conducting concurrent audits, revenue audits, information system audits, stock audits, etc. So her area of expertise also includes corporate audits in export-oriented units, pharmaceutical industry, and personal taxation, including international taxation. So we welcome you, ma'am, and we are looking forward for today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening. I'm Nitya Ramesh. Before introducing myself, I'm a woman, a daughter, a wife, mother, and last but not the least, a passionate chartered accountant. Today's topic we are going to discuss here about is work-life balance. Before getting into the topic, I would like to share my personal experience, how I'm managing my work as well as my life, personal life. So after completing my CA, within 2 years, I joined in Food Corporation of India, Delhi, as a manager of finance. When my daughter was around 1.5 years old, my family members has different priorities, so they were unable to support me to brought my child while I was in service. So I was forced to leave my child with my mother in my native Kovilpatti. So I was separated from my child because of my work. So I decided that, okay, I need to be with my child because I had only one daughter. I need to be with her. So I decided that, okay, let me take up a service which is in Tamil Nadu. So I write, since I was into government service, central PSU service, I tried state PSU service. I wrote a lot of exams and I attended an interview. Finally, I got into Tamil Nadu Minerals Limited, Taman, the state PSU that was situated at Chepak. Everything went on well, but the thing is that, once again, being a women member, we need to take everything of the family. Then the issue is my husband, who is also a chartered accountant, he was working in Central PSU in Delhi. He didn't get transferred to Chennai. Once again, everything was a mess. Myself and my daughter were in Chennai and he was in Delhi. So this was a situation. Every time we need to choose whether what is important for us, whether it is my work or it is my family. I started at that time only, I understand what is work-life balance is, how to take care of my career as well as my life without any hardships. I decided, so at that time only, the major decision in my life came whether I need to settle down at Chennai to continue my career as a manager of finance. Within 10 years, I may become a GM of that company, because I joined there and pay band 3, that is a higher scale, with a separate room as well as a separate office assistant with a check signing authority of 25 lakhs. That was at the age when I was 30 years old. So I didn't. I need to think over that whether to continue with this or to take care of my family. But I made a decision in life that I need to resign the service. I have resigned the service. I went back to Delhi. When I went back to Delhi, I just thought that, okay, even I resigned the service, though as I resigned the service, but my passion towards work or my passion towards practice, because I'm being a chartered accountant, I didn't want to waste my life that only taking care of my family. So I decided that when I went back to Delhi, I started searching for a chartered accountant firms so that I can start my own practice, because being a CA, you can choose whatever you want. So I started my practice and I'm started getting few assignments from my fellow chartered accountants. My profession was moving a little bit, was showing some sort of little bit progress. But still then I thought that, okay, when it was in my hometown means I'll be able to get more assignments. But still then I'll be able to get, because the person who were there in Delhi was so cooperative. Even I can speak fluently in Hindi because of the persons. They are so supportive to us. Even when we talk anything wrong in Hindi also, they never mind. They used to teach me a lot. So this was my life there. Within 1.5 years there, my husband was transferred once again to Chennai, where my real profession or my real life starts. When I came back to Chennai, I joined as a partner in a partnership firm. It was a mid-sized firm, more than 50 years of having more than 50 years of practice. The person who showed me a path is nothing but Shri Ganesh Prakasha. And my guru was J.K. Murali, who shaped me as a professional. And there are a few other persons, and the most important person to be mentioned here is Krishnamurti sir, who cultured me how to do the work effectively. Because now even I missed one thing, because I'm a certified person in forensic audit also. I do forensic audit for a few private banks. He only taught me how to do the work effectively without sacrificing anything. Do all the things you want to do before. But he used to say a thing that I am every day I'm following it, that Whenever you are going into or when you are starting your work, be patient to listen what the others are saying. Only then you will be able to do the work in an effective way. So till now I'm saying only about my personal experiences. Now I want to get into a topic. Being a woman, we need more physical, emotional, and mental well-being also. Work and life being a two forces. Why it need to be opposing? Is work-life balance is possible? Then the answer is it is may seems ideal, but not always possible. Definitely, it is not always possible. We need to, I can say a few ways to create a better life balance, but that is also, suggestions only. That doesn't mean that it is always, every time it is always possible. First thing, you need to accept that there is no perfect work-life balance. Because at times your family may need, your children may need your presence at home, or sometimes your office needs your presence at times, because when during the due dates and all, leaving office early seems, even you can't even imagine that. But the thing is that being a practicing chartered accountant, you can always plan accordingly in such a way that, for example, most of our reports are not only at due dates will be maximum busy, but whenever the other reports are that, you can plan in such a way that your family also get equal presence of you, as well as your office or work will never have any issues. It will goes on well. For that, you need to trust other people's, and you also should give work-life balance to our employees also. You need to be a little bit more flexible into that. Only then you can reduce their absenteeism, so that your office work will never get affected. And then if you are already into a service, or if you are already into a practice, and if you are doing some sort of job which is draining you, then I think it's the time to need to rethink. Then something which is really wrong. You need to choose such a work that allows you to do other things you love to do also. Because even though I'm a practicing chartered accountant, I'm taking classes for CA Foundation Business Mathematics because I love to do that job. And I choose such an institute that they are so flexible. They never may ask me any questions like that. Why are coming late, or why, ma'am, you are taking so much time in, when you are not closing the classes. Because the thing is that whenever you do the work, I used to say to my students also, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, please live the moment to the fullest extent possible. Because that is the key thing that I think that that is the key thing for my happiness as well as success in my career also. And before that, being a woman, prioritize your health also, because the health is
Nita, I just wanted to welcome Priti ma'am. She is there. So welcome ma'am. I'm asked to address this session.
Thank you, Kalyani. And Nitya, Kalyani, you are coordinating, and Nitya, you are actually taking a very interesting subject of work-life balance, and that is what I am also doing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Taking the session while traveling.
Yes,
so I was in the meeting and going in another meeting. So during the time, I thought I should address all my dear participants.
Thank you, ma'am.
As a vice chairperson. Yeah, and WMEC is really doing an excellent work. And for all of you participants, if you feel to, if you have any query, please reach out to us as a member of the institute. And if you also want to be the moderator or the coordinator of the Sky High Symposium, or as a speaker also, please reach out to us. This is the platform for all women chartered accountants as a speaker and as a coordinator. And friends, this is going live. We have already completed around 40 episodes of Sky High Symposium. And soon, very soon, then this will be continuing till the time I'm there in the council. And this is like giving platform to all of you. This is my wish that maximum, a lot of women have taken break, want to come back, in the profession. And this is the platform for all of you women chartered accountants, gaining the knowledge, technical subjects, as well as the motivational, non-technical subjects, which we want to give all the knowledge to all of you. Very soon, we have the meeting of on 12th February, where we will have a new president and new vice president of the ICAI also. But then new committees also will change. But then also my Sky High Symposium will continue. I will pursue that. This Sky High Symposium continues. And with this words, I don't want to take time, a lot of time from the session of Nitya, but I wish all of you a very successful career ahead. And if please reach out to us in case of any support required from our side for my dear women members. We have launched yesterday various publications, and we have also launched ICAI called Sahayata, which the number of that is 9975 And if you have any query relating to the institute, the publications, membership, or anything relating to the institute, feel free to call on that number. And if you don't get response, feel free to call to me also as a council member. With these words, once again, I wish you a very, very happy journey of your professional career. Thank you so much. And over to Kalyani or Nitya if you are taking the session, continuing the session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So, Nitya ma'am, can you continue the session?
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. Before, just want to continue. Priority is your health, because being a women member, at times I used to do this also, because as I say that everything, there is no perfect work-life balance. As I say that there is nothing can be done, like we cannot be so perfect at all times, even at your health also. But the thing is that should be your first most priority in that, because whenever you find time, because I used to do such things in such a way that when I used to say to my students also, when I was taking classes, I'm not worried about my family or work, nothing else. If I'm at work, I never thought about my family. When I'm at work, I never thought about the students or the upcoming classes, the preparations, everything and all. Because at times, what is more important, that needs to be done. In that list, the first thing to be done is, because being a wonderful person, because the health only makes you not only as a better professional, but as a better person too. Then don't be afraid to unplug, because you need to give your space for your thoughts as well as ideas to emerge. Because that taking that time is to unwind yourself is the key to your success, and you will feel more energized. Because energy and feeling better is more important when you are taking anything, when you are at work, when you're at home, everything. Because you are draining yourself a lot at the end of the day when you come home, or when you want to, because when the family members want to spend time with your family, you are drained at most. So please don't do that. Whenever you find time, not only listening to music or reading a novel, something else in an office, like a break, or do something else that needs to unplug your mind. And often, when at least once a year, take vacations. That is also more important for you to have a successful career also. And then make time for your loved ones. Being a professional, you need to plan firmly for your personal time. Otherwise, you'll never find time to do other things outside your work. If you are unable to plan, at least ensure that you spend your quality time with your family members too. And set the boundaries and work hours. Because set boundaries for yourself to avoid the burnouts. When you leave office, avoid thinking about the work. It is important to determine when you will work and when you will stop working. Otherwise, you may find yourself in work, answering work-related emails late at nights, during vacations, or on weekend offs. Because I used to do this way when I started my career as a practicing chartered accountant. I started my individual practice. Because I'm having an international clients, when they used to call me at only at nights. But after that, only I came to know that whenever I'm continuously replying to their queries whenever, then and there when they are free, then it is spoiling my work and my family time also. So I started teaching them, at least for the Indian clients, I used to say them that now I have to say them that there is a fixed timing for me. 10 to 5 is my office hours. I won't take calls during Sundays. So this is also, before doing this, I had a doubt in my mind that whether how they'll accept. But definitely your clients will accept. They'll also accustom to it. Then set goals and priorities. Pay attention to when you are more productive at work and block that time for your most important work related activities. Avoid checking your emails and phones every few minutes, as they are major time wasting tasks. They derail your attention and productivity. I have seen persons seeing through their phones, then and there, some important messages came or any important mail is there. Of course, if any important mail is also there, we are not a person who is a doctor or something else who is dealing with lives. It can be done. It can be seen within few hours or within few minutes. Nothing else will happen. So don't worry about that. Fix a timing for each and every of your work. Plan accordingly and do all these things. Schedule accordingly and do all the works perfectly. Then I need to quote, I usually normally quote other person's words and all. But the thing, when I am preparing for this, I just came to a quote of Jeff Bezos. He is a former president and CEO of Amazon. That instead of viewing work and life as a balancing one, it is more productive to view them as two integrated parts. It is not a balancing act. It is two integrated parts. According to him, it is actually a circle and not a balance. Actually, it is integrated. Work and life is integrated. You cannot balance, but you may do it in a more productive way, and then it needs to be supported to one another, and it is not opposing forces. Then the last thing is that I had few things to say about, because I have seen nowadays, I have seen chartered accountants, practicing chartered accountants, when their daughter or sons are at 10th standard or 12th standard, they are taking breaks. And they thought that, okay, I'm not a good mom, I'm not a good person who is taking care of my family, because this is a thought which is there in everyone's mind. Please think over that. When we were in childhoods, whether our mom and dad think in this way, or whether they sit with us for studies, or they travel with us for the examinations and centers. No. Then we need to brought up our child in the way we are brought up. Only then they'll be having independence. They'll be courageous to face any situations in their life. And for the fresher chartered accountants, women chartered accountants who were at their homes after getting married, having a child, please think over once in a while that there are a number of opportunities, flexible opportunities in the society that you may take up. For example, you may go to a nearest chartered accountant firm where you can do some sort of work. When they ask them, and fix up flexible timings for yourselves, and get some sort of assignments, and you can do that work without affecting your family also. So with this, I didn't want to, ma'am, Kalyani ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, this is what regarding work-life balance. I didn't want to drag much into this. Whether I can close the session, or if I want to tell you some important things about my career, which is I'm just want to share some sort of information about concurrent audits and all. Is it possible, ma'am?
Yeah, you can share. We have a time. So
you have time, right? Okay, fine. Yes, ma'am. Because work-life balance is that how we are managing. That is what. So I didn't want to drag much into that, because if I am dragging into it, then everyone will feel bored also. But I'm giving you some sort of tips about concurrent audits also, because whenever I don't think so whether nowadays women chartered accountants are doing concurrent audits or statutory audits. Even because since I'm handling concurrent audits for more than 3 banks, as well as revenue audits for that, I'll give you some sort of things that will be easy for you when you are going for an audits. Some sort of tips. For example, when you are doing a concurrent audits, the first month when you are getting into the bank, please understand that normally the banks are appointing when the appointment comes also, it is more than, we are left over only with the 10 days or 15 days to complete the audit, and release the report. Each and every bank has a different types of softwares. We need to come and to do with. So I used to follow certain tips. Like this is also my work-life balance, how to do with the work effectively without having much time and without much worries also. First thing is that I used to take the things, advances report will be there. I used to check which is the advance, which is most value, in value wise, which is the highest one. So I just set right those advances. Mostly probably it will be CC's cash credits only. I just write a thing about that CC, what are those things. I'll ask them one by one. Before that, in order to release the report, I used to focus on, because when you started completing the work, your reporting time already will got over. So in order to avoid not to have any bad remarks on you in your name, first, I think I used to do with some sort of vehicle loans or personal loans, where these people's definitely will have issues with the RC copies or the tax invoices, where they didn't, because RC copies will normally come after 1 month after giving the loans and all. So they used to, they didn't follow up, some issues will be there. So these are the points which you will be able to report it easily at the time of preparing your reports. Then comes your CCs. Please take times, and there are credit compliances audits or something. In some other banks, the name is something only different. There is a credit compliance mechanisms will be there. In that, there is an N number of more than 50 questionnaires will be there. That questionnaires will give a more insight into cash credit account more than what we people are normally seeing into it. Because the credit compliance audits will never cover only the documentation part of it, the other financial parameters, as well as the other things which normally we used to miss out when we are doing an audits. Please, because some sort of banks will have the name like credit compliance audits, or some other banks will have some other names. But please ensure that these are the important areas where, when we will be able to, because it's like a questionnaire formats, when we are going to answer those questions, they are entire CC accounts, the way which we need to see to safeguard ourselves will be covered in that. क्योंकि इसमें ज्यादा तरफ क्वेश्चंस है, आपको इजीली समझ में आ जाएगी, आपको ज्यादा क्योंकि कैश क्रेडिट में जो पॉइंट्स हम नॉर्मली मिस करते हैं, अगर किसी में कुछ प्रॉब्लम, बात में कुछ फ्रॉड निकल जाएगा, ये प्रॉब्लम हमको नहीं होना चाहिए. इसीलिए वो क्रेडिट कंप्लायंस ऑडिट और क्रेडिट कंप्लायंस के बारे में कुछ ऑडिट्स होगा, 100% बैंक्स में होगी, उसका क्वेश्चन ले लीजिए, इसी से आपको इजीली पता चल जाएगा. So this is what the first criteria to look into how what is CC is, what is a cash credit account is. The other things are that please have a templates. Please have a templates when you are appointing your article clerk to see files. Please ask them to when you are attending banks, please see the cash credit of of your own, because only then you will be get hold of those branch easily. But when you are finding less times, when you're sending your article clerks to do the audits, please ensure that there are certain loan accounts where they can even able to get comments or give remarks for you. For example, it's a housing loan. When you are instructing them to check the housing loans, please ensure that prepare a template for them. Before, even if you are not in a position to prepare a template or so, it is readily available in the Google. Or if you are not possible, then please make them clearly understand that. Ask them to first take the legal opinion or title report opinion in that. There are certain, in that lawyer will always write, these are the documents that are mandatory to be submitted to the bank to ensure whether it is the valued as title, that encumbrance, it is of nil encumbrances, and the bank can create MOD and mortgage on that. So first ask them to write what are those documents that was, stated by the lawyer to be deposited to the bank. ask them to tick whether each and every document is available in that file or not. It is an easy way to take once the template or once, please ensure them that the documents, what are the documents that lawyer has stated needs to be, written by them himself in the notes or written by them in the, hard, either way, you can make them in the hard copy or soft copy of that. So this is the area which is easy for you in the first month or the audit period to easily go through without any no more restrictions on time. Nothing else will be there. You can easily carry out your work without much hassles. The second loan is that normally the banks will be having personal loans or clean loans. In that, no much. Only thing is that they need, they want only your income criteria. What are those things that has been submitted? So normally, article clerks doesn't. They didn't have much knowledge about what are the documents that can be seen to. Find out the source of income source of a person's. So in that case, please ensure that whether they're CIBIL, just ask them to enter the CIBIL and what is the CIBIL that is required for a bank, whether to give a reports, and ask them to, there is some sort of, each and every bank will have some sort of comments. Please ask the advance officer of the bank, like if it was in IOB, it is HLPH. There is some comment is there. If it is one a Finacle, where you can easily able to find out what is the monthly repayment is, what is the overdue within a single second without having to much go through the statement of accounts, nothing else. There are certain comments in Finacle that is also available in Google for which software, which is the comment that is required for. So please try to understand there are certain comments that is our job to do without much worries in doing the concurrent audits of the banks. And when you are going for a statutory audit also, the same thing, the cash credit, you can follow this. And most of the frauds, which will be in the form of a non-fund based thing like BGs. So once if you get into the bank, please have a report on BG outstanding as on that date. Please take those files, whether the limit is granted or if without the limit, these persons are giving BGs. If they are giving BGs without the limit, means 100% margin needs to be taken in the form of a fixed deposits. Please ensure these. These are the things I think it is important for me, and it is important and it is making my work easier, ma'am. Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Let me close the session now.
Okay, sure. Honorable speakers, there are some questions from the participants.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah. One is from Kavya Gupta. How do we get concurrent audits?
How do you get concurrent audits is that, ma'am, being an individual, individual chartered accountant, getting concurrent audits, it's quite difficult, ma'am, because whenever you are applying for a bank, they'll ask you the previous experience.
Okay.
So first thing is that you can, normally that is not possible. When your seniors or some friends are doing, please get into that. Otherwise, even private banks, not getting into nationalized bank is difficult, but private banks is giving you concurrent audits for even for the fresher also. Okay. So just apply for the bank audits in private banks. Once if you get into that without experience, you can apply for nationalized banks. You'll be able to definitely get it, ma'am.
Okay, sure, ma'am. Thank you. This session was really knowledgeable and helpful. So, honorable speakers, chairperson and vice chairperson, committee members, colleagues, and my dear friends, I thank to committee for giving me this opportunity to express my gratitude towards this session. I would like to thank CA Nitya ma'am for explaining the topic in a very beautiful manner, sharing her experiences. And I can say that all the participants may face such kind of situation in day-to-day life. Motivation towards fitness is also a good thing, ma'am. I can say CA fit hai to hit hai.
Yes.
I would like to thanks participants for their patience hearing. I also thank our technical team for their support. And I'm concluding this meeting with the permission of all the committee members.